Lord Priest, I want to find out how I can get over to the dark side. Nothing's working anymore. I want to be able to wield the dark side force to suppress RXMuscle. Lord Priest, how can I join the dark side?
You can join the brown side, Steve.
Did you read the article about fish oil? It suppresses muscle growth.
Bend over.
Not good for muscle growth. All right, I gotta go. I got an article to read. Later.
Okay.
Yes, we're back with another episode of Iron Rage, the show where John Romano, Lee Priest, and I vent our frustrations with the world. And we're here with Kylo Ren. I don't even know, John, we have a new celebrity on the show every single week, it seems like.
It's like having Mr. G back again.
Yeah.
I'm just upset Steve left before I got to give him the lightsaber.
Instead of Mr. G, we have Mr. Lee, as you said.
Mr. Lee, yep, Mr. Lee.
Morning.
Today's topic
is boa around his neck right now.
Yeah, he needs a boa. He needs a Hulk Hogan boa.
I got the black scarf.
That works. Yeah, that's good. Feathers, though, you know.
Well, the feathers get caught in the fucking Millennium Falcon door.
That's true.
I'm kind of jealous of Lee. Lee's got some damn good costumes, I got to tell you.
Thank you.
He does.
Look at this one. Thank you. That's a bit better.
You know, Lee's got the perfect with the face with the tattoo. You know, when you take the mask off, he looks like he's been disfigured by the Force. You know.
Right.
I take the mask off, and nobody notices the difference. That's the thing.
Well, the topic today is guys or people who train at the gym who think they train hard, but really all they do is take up space on the equipment, and they actually, they endanger other people in there. My perfect example of this, and it drives me freaking nuts, is when you see that guy under the squat bar and he's got like 8 plates on each side of the squat bar, okay, and he's about to unrack it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? And sometimes they actually do, and they'll do that, like they'll move the weight an inch, they'll squat an inch, and then they'll come up. I remember I was at Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym, true story. This guy had the bar loaded. He had to have 10 plates on each side, 10 45s on each side. The guy had to weigh 160 pounds. He was about to unrack the weights, and Weinberger came running from his office because, he's got the cameras there. I mean, like a lunatic. And he really probably saved the guy's life. He goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" He goes, "Are you out of your freaking mind?" And he made him unrack the thing. I couldn't even believe the guy had the balls to even to unrack the weights. It probably would have crushed his spine. John, I know you see a lot of nutty shit in the gym down in Mexico, too. That drives you crazy. What's wrong with people now? How come people can't train anymore?
Well, in Mexico, there's a huge dependency on drugs. So everybody thinks that the more drugs they do, the less training they have to do. And and I've trained a few bodybuilders down there, and they tell me how hard they train. And then when you actually get them in the gym and you train with them or train them, you realize this guy is barely pushing anything. It's amazing he's got any mass at all. So nobody trains hard. Like, I have never seen anybody, or let me rephrase that. I have seen very few people in the modern era that train as hard and as intense as they did back in the day. Back when Lee was at World Gym, curling 315, you don't see that anymore. You just don't. And anything that you do see is some wacko, like you just explained, who's going to unrack, like train legs King Kamali style in the Smith machine with 7 spotters and 6 plates on each side and move the weight, an inch. So I don't like seeing that. It's bad for the equipment. It's bad for the people around you. They hog up all the freaking weights. They make all this noise. It's a big distraction, and it accomplishes zero.
You remember back in the day, though, you'd have like a group of 3 or 4 guys working out together, all guys that they just wanted to put size on. They were high intensity. Everyone motivated each other. You would take turns. Let's say we're doing squats. One guy would go, the next guy's rapping. Then that guy would go, and vice versa. And everyone was using good form. Everyone was there to spot, encourage the guy on. No one would allow anyone to do crappy form. If you didn't go all the way down to the squats, people were screaming at you, and you just don't see that anymore. I'm horrified by what I see in the gym. It drives me fucking nuts. Lee, you come from a background of guys who use impeccable form, lift heavy weights. I mean, all free weight type stuff. Does it drive you nuts when you see these lunatics?
Oh yeah, well, I was when you're training on the Death Star with zero gravity, you have to learn how to, get the weights in there properly. My father, Han Solo at the time, I killed him because he was an arsehole, but my father, Han, at the time, taught me the proper way to squat using the force. So it was good. But sadly now they don't do that anymore. Like you said, they'll have one guy squatting, his mate won't be squatting, his mate will be taking video for Instagram, his other mate will be texting what he's doing, and so the whole thing's just a load of bullshit. Like you said, they move an inch, and then you read the comments under their videos, oh, so strong, killing it, oh, you're going great, oh, keep up the good work. I said, it's a load of bullshit. I said, I feel like walking up behind them and kicking them in the back of the knees so they fucking go down a bit. It's like, I've seen the guys load the leg press up, and like John says, they take all the weight, they load the leg press up, and some of them don't even turn the handles out. They push it up an inch off the stopper, and then bring it back down to the stopper. I'm thinking, what the fuck's that going to achieve? I said they're training their egos more than anything, but the sad thing is their buddies around them encourage it, so they think they're doing good. And I had one guy at the gym once, he was doing 315 on the incline. And I was watching him, this day and age, if you walk over and say anything to them, they think you're an arsehole. So I was watching him, and he's barely moving at a couple of inches. And I said, okay, I'm going to go say something. So I walked over and and just said, oh, that's pretty strong what you're doing there. But I said, maybe if you drop back to 2 plates and bring it all the way down to your chest, you'll get, better, more out of it. And then he looks at me and goes, this is the way fucking Ronnie Coleman does it. I went, oh. I'm like, okay, whatever. So what does fucking Kylo Ren know? I don't fucking know anything. It's actually getting pretty hot. It's getting pretty hot in here. Ugh.
I always told people, this was one of the things I told people. I said, look, when you're looking,
you ever see the guy at the beach that's got the big T-shirt on with the buff body on it, and then he takes it off and he's just got the same buff body, No,
but I used to tell people, look, if you want to put on size and if you want to get bigger, don't watch what the top pros do, because a lot of these guys can do anything and put muscle on. Paul Dillette used to do 10-pound dumbbell curls and he had 24-inch arms. So
especially once you've got the muscle, building the muscle, the guys, like I said, a lot of pros used to train with good form and strict form, but once you've got that muscle there and you later on, they can just, like you said, do anything and it's going to keep that size. And sadly, the young kids, like I've said, I'd have fun and make fun of Branch's videos and stuff. I'd always say I respect Branch as a trainer and how strong he is, and him and Johnny, the weights they move are great, but yet when a young kid sees that, then I see the young kids copying that at the gym. You're like, that's not how you do it. They're like, well, this is how Branch does. I said, well, Branch can do that now, but leading up to that, Branch probably used a bit of strict form. And ever since I did those funny videos about Branch and Johnny, they don't talk to me anymore. Oh, well.
You know what it comes down to is that there is a giant misconception among the current flock of bodybuilders or lifters, if you want to call them, to understand the reason why muscle grows in the first place. And that is because you are subjecting your body to a stress that it can't manage with the current structure. So you got to give the body a reason to grow, because Mother Nature does not want muscle. Mother Nature wants you fat with as little muscle as possible, because it's tissue that doesn't need nutrition and to be metabolically active. Right. So in order to grow muscle, the body has to be constantly put under a stress of heavy weight to send the body a message that this is the kind of structure we need to maintain the stress that you're continually putting us under. And then you can take that to whatever degree you want. I particularly like the term the failure, because if you fail, legitimately fail, where there's a momentary interruption in the neuro impulse from the brain to the muscle to contract, if you actually get to that point, you have stimulated an adaptive response in the brain that tells the body, we need more muscle, we need more strength. And if you do this repeatedly, the body is going to adapt and build new muscle. Period.
Right. You're right.
And you just got to make sure you're training there, because I know a lot of failures who fail at everything and they got no muscle.
Well, John, you're right, because if you move the muscle, the weight 2 inches, you're going to get 2 inches worth of muscle. People always ask me, why do you do full range motion? I said, because I want full range of muscle development. If you're only moving the weight to halfway towards your chest, then you're missing 50% of the pec muscle. Now, different people have different structures. Like, I always say the guys with shorter arms can do barbell curls and get more out of it than a guy with a long arm, because the torque range is different. So you might have to change the way you do your exercises. But the bottom line is, if you want full development, you really got to do full range of motion. And if you can't do full range of motion because you're using weights that are too heavy, guess what? You're jerking your chain, you're wasting your time, and you're only looking to injure yourself. And what happens is other young guys in the gym see people doing these stupid things, and then they copy it. That's what drives me nuts.
Well, there's exceptions to that, like Jimmy the Bull.
Right. But no one can do what Jimmy does. Anyone else would die doing what he did, He's an exception to the rule.
But I think it's like you said, because the training's so changed now. Back in the day when you would go into the gym, everybody was using strict form, and people were actually going heavy with good form. Sadly now, people want the muscle overnight. They want to take the drugs first day in the gym. There's no foundation work, and they watch these videos and they think, oh, look, I can put 5 plates on the leg press and move it 4 inches. Hold on, I'll put another 3 plates on. Shit, I'm up near 10 plates now. I can move it 2 inches. They think as long as they're moving it, they're getting something from it, which they're not. It's just crazy. Like, the favourite one for me is the calf machine. You see these guys with fucking just skin wrapped around their shin. There's no calf muscle at all. And they've got this thing fucking loaded up to the hilt. They got the stack on. They got plates on top of it. And they're just fucking doing this. They're just bouncing. Yep. It's not even getting this, like, there's no stretch like this at the calf muscle. Just boom, 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 boom. And I'm thinking to myself, I've seen this guy doing this for over a year. His calf's still the fucking same. I don't know how his sock stays up. He must use an elastic band. And it's like, what the fuck? It's like, don't you look in the mirror and notice your calves aren't growing? It's like, change up the exercise, or, lighten the weight and stuff like that. I hardly ever use weight on my calves. I just use body weight doing hundreds of reps. It's like, look at fucking male ballet dancers. Look at the calves on them, always on their fucking toes and shit like that. So,
Lee, let me ask you a question. Back in the day when, you were back at Gold's Gym Venice, John, for that matter, you were there as well. I mean, all the top bodybuilders trained in one gym. So everyone saw everyone else lifting. So no one would ever do a ridiculous movement like that, or very few people, because you would be mocked to death probably. And I mean, do you think it's because everyone's all spread out all over the place, and there's so many freaking silly gyms now that, like, there's really no one, there's no like mentors anymore to tell you, hey, you're doing this wrong,
Exactly, because could you imagine, like, back in the day, say you're squatting in the squat rack at Gold's, and you'd have Platts there or somebody else, and they're doing 5, 6 plates, and they're going arse to the ground.
Right.
And you're going to go throw fucking 5, 6 plates on and go, oh, yeah. It's like, you're going to look like an idiot. I can tell you a funny story. When Mike Yablon and I, 5 Jacket Mike, he doesn't wear jackets anymore.
Right.
But when him and I were training at Gold's, this young kid come out, and I can't remember where it's from, somewhere in the middle of America. He thought he was coming out to be discovered and go see Weeder and, one of those dreams and stuff. So he asked could he train with Mike and I a few times. And I tell you, he's one of those guys where Mike and I would flip a coin to who had to spot him, because when it came to doing chest press, he wanted to go heavy. So you'd be behind him, like this, just fucking pushing the weight up, and you're like, fuck, I'm glad he's finished. And as you get to the very top, he's like, 2 more. You're like, oh, fuck, he's dead. He's going to... So one day we were on that Smith machine, that old Cybex Smith machine in front of the mirror in the first room doing squats. And we worked up to like 7 plates a side on it. And come his turn, we're like, what do you want? He's like, I'll do the same. So I just turned the mic and just give him a bit of a head nod. We're like, okay. So he gets under, unracks it, gets set, and he goes like that. I said, you got to go deeper than that. He's like, okay. Yeah, he goes a little bit deeper. I said, you still got to go deeper. Third one, he went deep. Fucking boom to the fucking ground. weight come crashing down on top of him, and Mike and I just walked away. We just left him under the weight. Fuck him. That was his introduction. Yeah. As soon as he went down past that little breaking point, he just crashed to the ground with 7 places aside on the Smith, and 5 Jacket and I just walked off and left him under it. What can you do? You can only help people so much, but then it's like, fuck that.
Don't you wish you had cell phones with video cameras on it back in the day, Lee? You guys would have had some great footage, man.
Could you imagine? But the good thing was, like, back then, you would have had a few idiots like that, but like I said, there's nowhere near like they are. So back then, like I said, you might have had that one idiot to come in, but that might have been few and far between because everybody actually trained well. I said you'd have the powerlifters over there, Mike O'Hearn and his group, doing all their heavy lifts and stuff like that. Then you have the bodybuilders who are going heavy. It's like I told you that story before. When I first come to the gym, Jim Quinn and all those guys, Big Billy, and that wouldn't talk to me because I was this new kid on the block. And then one day I was doing the 180-pound dumbbells down there, good form, nice and strict. And once I earned their respect, they started talking to me. But it took a while to, like I said, they wouldn't talk to me until they actually saw that I could lift heavy weight and do it with good form. So.
Well, everyone back then, everyone would like have to size up the new guy in the gym because that's competition for them, right?
Yeah, but I said they wouldn't talk to me at all until then they went over to my friend and goes, "Who's your friend again?" And he's like, "Oh, Lee from Australia." He's like, "Oh, he's pretty strong." And from that point on, they started talking to me. But up until then.
Lee, who was the strongest guy at Gold's Gym back in the day? Good form.
It's hard to say because a lot of guys were pretty strong back then. Even depending on what exercises too. I think everyone had their strong points. Oh yeah, they were strong on pretty much everything. But you'd see the barbarian curl on the 120s or shoulder press and 4 or 5 plates behind the neck and stuff like that. Back in the day.
First 500-pound bench presses.
Yeah, so they're like pretty much strong on everything. Whereas other guys, you might see they were great on bench, but they mightn't have been good on squats. And so everyone had their strengths and weaknesses. But I think back then everyone pretty much trained hard. You'd always have somebody say this person's the strongest bodybuilder and that. But we're all strong on different lifts. And like you said, it comes down to your body mechanics and what you're good at and what you can do. But but the barbarians and those type of people, like you said, even Jimmy the Bull, they just do crazy shit that, like I said, you wouldn't see anyway.
Who was like the best like bencher there in the gym? Like, legitimate bencher who was, doing full range motion and everything like that?
Billy Smith was strong.
Yeah, he was strong on the bench. But I always found that most people use the dumbbells more than bench pressing. I always used to notice. Everyone was into the heavy dumbbells, which went up to 180. I think they finally got 200-pound dumbbells. But everyone was into the dumbbells more than the actual benches. I thought, like you said, you had Mike O'Hearn's group, and they were pretty strong on the benching and all that sort of stuff, the power lifters and that. But I always noticed most of the bodybuilders. Oh, you'd have what's his name when Charles Glass was training Cormier, and them they were pretty strong on the incline bench press and all that sort of stuff. So
Flex and Cormier and Rico,
Charles Glass, man, he could do 4 plates on incline bench, just like
really, and he wasn't a big guy.
He was really strong. Yeah.
You know what?
And a lot of the guys, a lot of the really, really strong guys were not the really, really big guys either. I mean, there were guys that would lift weights and you would look at it and go, how the fuck did he do that?
Well, that's why even now I give people the benefit of doubt because I'm sometimes in the gym and I will see somebody load up a machine and I think, okay, because I haven't seen those guys, like you said, they might not be huge, but they're just fucking naturally strong. So I see someone load up this machine thinking, this is going to be interesting. But then, like you said, they move an inch. I'm like, well, gee, that's just fucking wasting my time in anticipation here waiting for that. So, but I just don't get, I said, what they get out of it, I have no clue. And this day and age, if you do try and help them or go and say anything to them, they think you're like an asshole or like, oh, what the fuck do you know? You're a big know-it-all type thing. Whereas back in the day, if you've seen someone doing something wrong, somebody would come over and help you. There's that more comradeship between everybody. Everyone would go help someone. Hey, let me show you how to do it this way and that, and you say thank you and you take their advice. Today it's like, oh, fuck off, dickhead, what do you know type thing. So,
and I don't think they really want the truth. When I was just in Mexico, I was training calves, and these guys were using the donkey machine I wanted to use, so I worked in with them. So I'm doing my set, and I'm doing like all the way down, slow, break my knee a little bit, all the way up, squeeze, cranking them out, just get to the actual end of the road where I can't do anymore, put it down. Then they jump on, they put all the weight on, and they're bouncing up and down like they're riding a freaking pogo stick. So, then the next one goes, and he bounces up and down, moves his heels about, a quarter of an inch. Then I get back on, slow, strict, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, grinding out every last rep. They get back on. Bounce, 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 talk, 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 bounce, 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 talk, talk. Goes on for 5 sets, 5 rounds, right? So we're done. I'm walking away, and the guy taps me on the shoulder. He goes, dude, what do you do for your calves?
That brings back, when those 2 words together makes my mind boggle sometimes when I hear Mexico and donkey shows. You said donkey calf machine. Did you? I thought you said donkey show.
I should have said standing, but
John, didn't you say that Dan Duchesne took you to a donkey show once?
No, he wanted to. We were going to go to one together, and he wanted, but it never worked out.
Oh, what a shame.
What a shame. I got my Big Lenny shirt on. Big Lenny would go to a donkey show, right?
Who?
Big Lenny.
Oh, yeah.
I got my Big Lenny shirt on, yeah.
Yep.
You know, Big Lenny did a porn movie. Do you know that on Pornhub?
I heard that.
Yeah.
That'd be scary.
With a transvestite.
Oh.
Even scarier.
He's drinking urine and giving head to the donkey, to the tranny.
and after all that, Steve still didn't sign him.
Yeah, Steve still didn't sign. He might be the next big thing over at MD. Bleckman might have promised him a cover.
Boy, is that really how far he's going on the other end? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Hey.
Well, the moral of the story, guys, is if you can't lift the weight, fucking don't lift it. You only grow with what, when you use form where you can actually control the weight and feel the movement. Put your ego aside. Someone once came up to me in the gym and said, hey, look, you know what? You'll have great legs, but you got to use better form. And I said, well, and I try to show him my form, and this is when I first started lifting. And he's like, you're not going all the way down. Take all the weight off the bar and let's use the bar. And they showed me how to squat, and you know what? From that moment on, my legs started to grow like a weed because I realized it wasn't about the weight. It was about how you execute the movement. And once you learn to execute the movement with full range of motion in the correct form, the weight comes along with it. As you get bigger, you get stronger. And
I will give you a take-home message right now. The most profound words you're going to hear on RX Muscle regarding the subject. Don't lift weights. Work the muscle. That's how you work.
Kylo Ren wants to know what Dave did for his belly.
How do they train at the dark? Over on the dark side, how do they train in the gym? Full range?
No one wants to talk about the elephant in the room, but used to be that word Palumboism. How do you work on the belly?
And on that note, until next week.
Come on, talk to me. Palumboism.
Kylo Priest, I'll call you later. I wanted the application for the dark side. I'll be calling you later, I promise you.
Palumboism, I want to know how you got that belly.
For Dave Palumbo, John Romano, and Lee Kylo Priest, we'll see you next time.